What's up, guys? Welcome back to Taking the Field with Stevie Mack, and on this episode, we're going to go a little bit of a different direction here. Typically, as you know, we talk a lot about the PLL and everything going on with that. I've had a ton of guests on over the last few weeks surrounding the PLL, but again, we're going to go a little bit of a different direction with this episode. We're going to talk Athletes Unlimited Pro Lacrosse, and to do that on this episode, I am joined by Tari Kandemiri. Tari, thanks for taking a few minutes of your time.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to have AU season come back around.
Absolutely. I know even since the spring, I've really been looking forward to it. I've covered women's college lacrosse for the last 6 springs now, so whenever Athletes Unlimited is kind of right around the corner, I always get pretty excited for that. But really, I think the point of this episode is going to be maybe for people that aren't as familiar with Athletes Unlimited Lacrosse, probably giving them kind of a bit of an introduction, I guess you would say, to it, and kind of maybe some of the players to be watching for as their season gets going here later this week. So to kind of start on that note, the rosters, as we kind of talked about off the air, did come out earlier this week. So give us some of the players to watch with each of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing I love about Athletes Unlimited is the opportunity it gives for the female athletes, for professional women's lacrosse to shine. And every single year, the rosters are just so strong. So I'm going to go team by team and just name a couple players that I'm excited to watch on Team Bosco. I mean, Abby Bosco, who's their captain. She is so scrappy, so fast, tenacious defender. Watching her on TV, you'll think she's like 6 feet tall, and I remember meeting her and being like, "Oh, she's not 6 feet tall. She's actually a little bit closer to the ground than I originally estimated." But she's a phenomenal athlete, phenomenal player. And then Izzy Skane, the debut of Izzy Skane as a professional lacrosse player, that's going to be amazing to watch. I've loved watching and tracking her career and all the great things that she's accomplished, being 2-time Tewaaraton Award winner and all of that. So it's going to be great to watch her debut. On Team Glen, looking at that roster, again, so many great players. It's hard to pick just one. Ali Mastriani, I've enjoyed watching her, when she was at North Carolina, being part of Team USA, and obviously being part of AU. I think one of the best draw takers in the game, and always so much fun to watch in the midfield and as a goal scorer. Let's see, who else on Team Glen am I like? I'm looking at I always feel bad when I don't mention every single player. So I'm always like, I need to mention a million players. But, jumping off the page to me, Casey Choma, she's been just phenomenal to watch in the past year especially. And now getting to, again, cheer for her in the pros as well. Another great player to watch. Team Apuzzo, I don't want to, off the bat, say that there's one team that I feel like is the strongest team because it's early. But when you have Sam Apuzzo, Dempsey Arsenal, Kenzie Kent on one team, Kayla Wood, you've got Trinity McPherson jumping in there as well, Kaylee Waters in goal. It's insane how well Sam can draft a team. And week after week after week, we just get to see how strategically she picks teams and how well she builds her roster to be well-rounded, right? Like, I'm looking at this whole roster on her team this week, and to me, it just stands out that she made very clinical decisions. And then last but not least, Team Moreno. So Taylor Moreno, a repeat champion for AU, a phenomenal goalkeeper. I think she's shown the prowess and the heights that goalies can reach, and really shown that even, especially in the AU system, a goalie has a chance to shine and be the best of the best. She's so much fun to watch. Excited to watch Sydney Black. I've enjoyed supporting her at Loyola, and going to be a really great player to watch as well. Other names jumping off to me, just Sierra Cockrell. Enjoyed watching her at Syracuse. I think, again, the league gives such a great chance for players from all different schools and players that we've seen, play for their respective college programs to now come in and play together at AU and mix up these teams. So every single roster is stacked, and I'm pumped to watch.
Yeah, and I'd say that's a pretty thorough breakdown that you just gave us. Again, like I said, I've definitely watched my share of Athletes Unlimited Lacrosse in the past, so I can definitely say to anybody listening out there that was a pretty thorough and solid breakdown that Tari just gave us. And you definitely touched in that on a lot of some of the things that I wanted to touch on with this episode and kind of get your thoughts a little bit on. One of those being Taylor Moreno and just how good she's been in, I guess, what you could call a more offensive league as a goalie, being the back-to-back Athletes Unlimited champion. How do you think she's been able to accomplish that?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think what it is for Taylor is as a goalie, she's just so precise and agile, but not in the sense of like, oh, she's like moving really well in the goal, doing these things, right? That's like the expectation is that she's agile and she's moving well in the goal, she's making saves, but even on the field, right? So her field sense, she's not afraid to come out of the crease. She's not afraid to like play, that bottom 30 of the field and really watch strategically in transition and great at tracking when shots are coming in. She's watching and directing her defense, always locked in on the shooter, the next pass that's coming, where the ball might come from. So I think her agility, her precision, her vision as well has really helped her. Not only is she facing off against the best shooters in the world offensively, but she's able to make really great saves and then also able to build a great defense and a great team around her that allows for her to succeed. So I think that, yeah, it's just the scoring system has allowed her to showcase her ability in the goal, but also her ability as a field general, which has been really fun to watch.
Yeah, and then another player that you mentioned in your original answer, Sam Apuzzo, finished the last two seasons in second place behind Moreno both years. We'll get to, you kind of touched on it as I mentioned with her sort of roster construction. We'll get to that here in just a second. But speaking of Apuzzo just specifically, what does she have to do this summer to finally sort of get over that hump and take that first spot?
Yeah. Oh man, as a Sam Apuzzo stan, and I'm thinking of one of my good friends, Kenny Benoit, who's also a Sam Apuzzo stan, and I'm sure we'll talk about this during the season. Um, it's tough. I mean, Taylor Moreno is the best of the best in the world. I think for Sam, in combination with the great rosters that she's building, maybe opportunity for and I almost feel like this is going to go against her ethos, but I just have to say it. I think opportunity for more selfishness. I think on the offensive end, focusing more on her getting the shots off and her getting the goals, her having more opportunities with the ball, maybe not so much passing it around and creating opportunity for other players. And not in a selfish sense, but more in a sense of when she has the ball, we know that she has the chance to score, and it might take extra couple of seconds for her to get into the position that she needs to get that goal versus maybe making the pass. So almost moving away from maybe a system at BC or with Team USA where it's more team focused to more individual focus. But the reason why she is such a great player, such a great leader, such a great person for people to look up to is because she does have that team player mindset, and that has led her to being in that top two and being so close to being in first place. So I don't know. I think we might just have to ask her what her thoughts are on that. I think from my perspective, we're in for another great battle for 1, 2, and 3 once again, and I think she has it in her to be number one. Yeah, she's number one in our hearts, in my heart, in my heart. Love Taylor Moreno too. Love Taylor Moreno too. As an attacker, I got to support my people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely been fun since I've been following Athletes Unlimited to watch Sam Apuzzo play and just the way that she plays. And you mentioned the unselfishness that she plays with. And I don't remember if it was last summer or maybe 2 seasons ago where the teams that she led just went on this unreal run where they won. I want to say it was something like 8 games in a row to start the season. So as we kind of transition into the conversation of her roster construction, I think that to kind of highlight that statistic kind of definitely leads well into that conversation and kind of getting your thoughts on the way maybe that she goes about putting together her teams every week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she and I actually talked about this because that was one of the questions I had as well. And what I loved learning about is how she watches so closely every single week. She is watching every player and making notes and taking into account, okay, how did they play? How did they play with this person? How did they play with this other person? How did this unit work together? Piecing teams together in almost this like surgical way, right? And when you look at the way Acacia Walker coaches for BC, like you can see Sam bringing in that same level of precision in piecing together a team and putting together the puzzle that is a team. And you can tell that she's been coached by and has learned from Titans and is bringing that precision into AU. And I think that's what it takes. Like, whether she's back at the hotel, she's watching while she's doing recovery or preparing for the next day, or she's staying after her games or before her games when she can and watching other players play. So yeah, I think that the approach of just taking the time to watch every single player and adding to her notes throughout is what's helped her build such great teams. And obviously it helps, having played with a number of the players that are on her roster this time around, whether in the Team USA system or in prior teams that she's been on. But yeah, I think it's just taking that extra level of precision to watch the game.
Yeah, and I think it was a few summers ago now, maybe 2 summers ago, when they had that run that her teams went on. Because I remember back, it was still when Sean Quirk was with the Cannons in the PLL when they were just brought into the PLL, and obviously they had struggled. Their roster wasn't all that well constructed, I guess you could say. And at the time, I remember I kind of joked on here saying, well, if it doesn't work out with him, maybe they give her a call and say, hey, let's see if we can make something happen. I was like, I wouldn't be totally against it, and not gonna lie, I don't think the Rabels would be 100% against it either. So I just thought that was kind
No,
of funny. But yeah, just I
yeah,
think to kind of maybe put a bow on this all, heading into week one in Athletes Unlimited, just getting maybe some of the things that you'll be looking for here in week one, or again maybe some storylines or whatever the case may be.
yeah, definitely. I think you know having been part of lacrosse social media slash media realm for almost, I guess, a little over a decade now, it's been amazing to track the growth of the women's game. And I think this is just such a monumental summer for women's lacrosse. A number of players that we're going to see in AU are also going to be playing for and in the first ever box lacrosse world championship for women. And so I think that this is just in some sense the beginning of an amazing summer for women's lacrosse. There's going to be the U20 World Championships in Hong Kong. There's so much going on, and so I love that women's lacrosse is on this pedestal where the best of the best are getting to compete in Athletes Unlimited, competing globally. We're seeing that in outdoor, in the field, and in box. And for AU specifically, yeah, the storylines I'm excited to see. I mean, I'm pumped to see Izzy Skane play. I think that the power that she brings and her shot and the passion that she has for the game, her speed of play, and I think the style of play coming from Northwestern is so well suited for this league. And I've loved seeing players from NU come, and find their path and adjust in the league. It's going to be fun to see her play with Lauren Gilbert, someone that is also was part of the Northwestern system, and someone that played with her before, and they're getting to kind of reunite. Yeah, it's going to be so much fun, and I love when we get to find new and emerging stars in the AU system. So Trinity McPherson, excited to see her play, and yeah, I think it's going to be amazing. It's always so much fun seeing everyone pop out and do their thing, and every single week a player has a chance to shine and to be the best. So I'll be watching, I'll be cheering for everyone, and it's going to be a great summer for women's lacrosse.
Yeah, and real quick before we wrap this one up, I know you mentioned Lauren Gilbert there in your answer. I remember a couple summers ago when she was a rookie in Athletes Unlimited, really seemed like she came onto the scene pretty hot, was scoring a lot of goals, making a lot of plays, really seemed like she shot up the individual leaderboards pretty quickly. Their second year seemed like she maybe took a little bit of a step back by the first year standards, so I think it'll be interesting to see how she comes out here in year three. But Tari, thanks a lot for
Yeah.
taking a few minutes of your time with me.
Of course, yeah. And listen, I will say, I played against Lauren Gilbert in Hawaii. Personally, from what I saw last year, she she's in top form. I'm sure any goalie that played against her will agree. But she's wonderful, always so kind, and can say the same for all the players in the league. So thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm super excited to be get a chance to be part of it and to chat with you. And thank you for supporting women's lacrosse.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been my pleasure these last 6 years, and wherever it takes me in the future, I'm gonna definitely enjoy it. But that was Tari Kandemiri joining me on Taking the Field with Stevie Mack.